Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon po. This is Luis Magalong and welcome to our Moving Beyond Crisis series. Our topic this afternoon, Mental Resiliency. Okay, part 2. Okay. Hindi po ito sequel, no? Hindi po siya part 1, but it's part 2 where we talk about, once again, about mental resiliency. I know the first one we did this, I think it was during the ECQ, no? But this time we'll be talking about, once again, about mental resiliency. And before I introduce our speaker this afternoon, allow me to thank our previous speakers who have been part. Salamat po to our speakers who have been a resource person who have been part of our Moving Beyond Crisis series. Okay? And to those, if this is the first time, if this is your first time joining us, welcome po. Thank you for your time. Okay, we appreciate that, and we're grateful that you're spending your time with us. To the people who have been joining us from the very beginning or in the middle part, salamat po. Okay, we really appreciate your time. Okay, salamat po sa pagtangkilik. Ayan. So I hope this training has been helpful to you. If this is helpful, please do nakasulat po yung those reminders sa comment section natin. No? Please do, if possible, click like or heart or care. Or better, you can host a watch party, tag the person who can benefit from this para naman po ma-extend natin yung learning this afternoon sa kanila. So gusto ko lang pong batiin yung mga sa aking ating feed, gusto ko lang po batiin yung mga kasama natin this afternoon. Okay, si Miss Chi. Oy, hi ma'am. I saw you last week, no? Miss Chi Guerrero, Sir Paolo Viscocho, thank you for joining us. Miss Jennifer Lopez. Yan, salamat po. These two people are from our previous participating group, which is the Philippine Ports Authority. Thank you for joining us this afternoon once again. And we also have hello po kay Miss Josephine, okay, Miss Sita, Miss Santi, or Mr. Santi. Sorry, medyo maliit lang po yung screen ko dito. And then si Miss Mabel. Thank you. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. As promised, this would be helpful to you. So please, for more updates, okay, please do click and follow us in Vertical Parallel Asia. Ayan, yun po ipakita ko ang aking screen para naman po ma-appreciate nyo yung sinasabi ko. We at Vertical Parallel, okay, we bridge you to success. Alright? Yon, lumabas din. Alright, so please like, follow, and subscribe. We are present in YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Dumami na po. Sabi po nakasama ko, sabi ng teammate ko, dumami na po ang YouTube namin. 16, okay, 16 na po ang nagsusubscribe, no? So pakidagdagan naman po. Okay, plus, but we have uploaded the videos, the previous videos that would be helpful to everyone. Nandun po yon yung mga past episodes namin. We have uploaded it, including our new episode, which is the leadership black and white. Okay, so yan, thank you po sa ating mga speakers who have been previously part of Moving Beyond Crisis. This event is a fundraising project for the Burden to Breakthrough, wherein we raise or we we work out this PPEs and swabos. And parang lagi ko na sinasabi yun, nalito pa ako, no? It's okay. Please do make it a habit to visit us at Vertical Parallel Asia. That's our page. Okay, because every day we create thoughts, scriptural things that you can share with your friends and families, or you can actually download it and keep it in your phone, because this encouragement is what we needed most in this time of pandemic. Just today, ito yung ginamit natin. Ships don't sink because of the water around them. Ships sink of the water that gets in them. Don't let what's happening around you get inside you and weigh you down. Okay, it's an encouragement for today. Kaya po nasabi ko, Leadership Black and White is a new series of Vertical Parallel that will engage with the viewers about leadership wireframes, best practices, and a combination of vision-oriented and results-driven strategies. A tool for every individual, team, community, organization, and culture. Because it is where your leadership imprint, which is the vision, and blueprint, which is the mission, is as clear as black and white. Alright, so kanina po pinakita natin yung videos natin, yung mga events natin this September. I hope you could visit our page so that you can join some of our events, if not most. So, diba? It would be we'll be grateful if you can join us in our learning or in our future or mga learnings natin this September. So allow me to invite you next week. Okay, the MBC will always be free. Okay, so kasi kasama po yan sa ating yan po yung ating effort to encourage our fellow Filipinos. All right. Also, the Leadership Black and White is a new series, like I mentioned. We'll have next week, September 22, 2020, at 5 o'clock p.m. Same time. Okay, next week, in alternately, ginagawa po natin yan. The Leadership Black and White will have Mr. Paulo Tibig. He's the president of V-Cargo Logistics, author, speaker, and a corporate trainer. All right, the masterclass. Okay, masterclass, allow me to invite you to our paid trainings. These are paid trainings of Vertical Parallel, where we do the trainings in three options. First is we do the instructional volumes, or yung recorded volumes. Next is the online base, where we talk about, or we use the platform like the Zoom, WebEx, MS Teams, right, to deliver these trainings for you, for your groups and your offices. And then the physical, which is medyo ngayon na hindi pa natin siya ginagawa because of the pandemic. So, but I hope eventually, or in the near future, we can do this training face to face. All right. Okay. So allow me also, speaking of the masterclass, allow me to introduce to you or invite you to our productive leadership, upping leadership potentials. If you know, and if you have, marami yan. Yan. Okay. Upping leadership potential management skills training for supervisors and managers. Okay. It's a 8-hour online masterclass. This course will help you implement new tools, strategies, skills, and behaviors to be productive in the workplace. The topics would include understand leadership management skills in order to perform better. This is good for moving up managers and supervisors. Identify knowledge, skills, and appropriate behaviors required for effective leadership. Evaluate your own preferred leadership style and learn how to modify it across a range of everyday work situations. Use coaching tools to improve team performance, decision-making model, measurable commitment, results, and productivity. That happening this September 18 to 19, 2020 at 1 to 5 p.m. All right. Also, the outstanding, a comprehensive guide of business and building a brand, putting your brand out for the market while standing strong in the midst of competition. It is a comprehensive guide para po yan in building your brand. Okay, this is very good for SMEs and MSMEs who are pivoting their business right now. Topics would include defining your brand, important role of branding in your sales and marketing, positioning your brand, living your brand, connecting with customers, measuring brand health with a balanced scorecard. Oh, this is good. And going beyond the brand. Okay, outstanding, September 21 to 22, 8 to 12 noon. Also, behind the scenes. Okay, yan yun po. Yan ako na. Behind the scenes and on stage is a volume 3 of our Building Confidence and Speaking, delivering high-impact presentations. This is volume 2. Okay, so we'll have Mr. R.D. Abelio on September 26, 2020. Okay, this is if you want to deliver the best results and be the best presenter you can be. Learn from one of our country's top speakers and international speakers. He's actually a certified John Maxwell trainer, Mr. R.D. Abelio. Okay, topics would include envision your presentation, objectives of your audience. Envision your presentation, entertain your audience, engineer your presentation. All right. So, yan po ang isa na. And also, allow me to invite you also on September 29 to 30, crisis management planning. Okay, we'll have there Mr. Joel Elio and Ms. Jenny Magalong. I will be talking about business continuity and crisis management. Okay, HR crisis management planning. These are 2 topics. Okay, but safety workplace management, standard regulations, safety and health control measures. For HR crisis management planning, we'll be talking about HR compliance, policy development, crisis communication, emergency HR, and crisis management teams. All right, so this afternoon, okay, as I introduce our speaker right now, ayan po, nakita niyo po sa your screens. Okay, he is a certified EQ coach, EQI yung tawag dyan, 2.0 in Canada. He is a master trainer for a lead like Jesus, where I also belong to. This is a framework developed by Mr. Ken Blanchard, one of the authors of the 1 Minute Manager. He is a certified Six Sigma Black Belt. He is a certified KPI professional, a certified strategic management professional. Mr. Lito Cornejo is a strategy professor with over 20 years of local and international operations and strategic management experience, with a proven track record in leading and grooming effective teams in the corporate and non-profit industry. He is a subject matter expert in strategy management and leadership development, emotional intelligence. In between this, he also does executive coaching, training and development, module design and delivery of fast-track learning and protocols. Yan. He is also he's well-versed in international business practices and okay, he's first and only certified strategic management professional by the Association of Strategic Planning in the ASP in the Philippines. He's certified in the Genus Emotional Intelligence or the EQI 2.0 frameworks. He also serves as Chief HR Officer of a nonprofit Christian international organization. So this afternoon, allow me to introduce our speaker, Mr. Lito Cornejo. Hi, Sir Lito. Hi, Sir Lito. You're on mute, sir.
Sorry about that. Yes.
Okay.
I think we're good, no?
We're good. Yeah. So now, Sir Lito, I'm passing. Medyo online tayo ngayon. So as always,
Okay, good.
you can take on the online stage.
Yeah, hiramin ko lang yung sharing, Luis.
Oh yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Now.
Okay. Alrighty. Let me put that there. And okay, looking good. Can you see that, Luis? If I can just ask for your feedback. Do they see the slide? Okay.
Yep. We can
All
see
right.
it.
Good. All right. Welcome to this class. It's called Mental Resiliency, Thriving in and Transitioning Beyond Crisis. So before we dive in, let me introduce to you the purpose of this class. Like I said, it's about mental resiliency, but it takes in the context of leadership. And we all know that leadership is fundamentally facilitating performance, and we would like to bring out the best in people, di ba? Gusto natin yon. And as well, getting others to do their best as efficiently and as effectively. Pero alam niyo po, one of the things about performance is that you may not know this, but there has been a consistent finding. And in fact, the way they test this is very robust. In the area of social sciences, they found out that there is a high positive correlation between the way people feel and the way people perform. The way people feel and the way people perform. So if we would like to use that as the absolute truth and based on empirical observation, siguro as leaders, we need to be skilled at identifying emotions, understanding emotions, and how these emotions influence us as leaders and even those people around us. So on this primer, you will improve your understanding of the role of emotional intelligence in improving mental resilience. And you will also explore technique or techniques, sabihin na lang natin, for building your own resiliency. So I just would like to ask you to be open to the ideas and concepts. Okay, let's dive in. So we'll try to identify what is resiliency, and we'll try to find out what's impacting and influencing resiliency. We also try to find out and identify stuff and items that really impact your own personal resiliency at work. So let's dive in. This is the definition of personal resiliency. Alam ko mahaba, but let me just highlight to you some of the items here. Okay, first, it is about adaptation to stress and adversity. Yan daw ang definition ng resilience. Okay, adaptation to stress and adversity. The next one is the capacity to bounce back from a negative experience. The next one would be everyone naman daw pala is resilient. Kaya lang, it can still be improved. Depende doon sa level ng resiliency. One thing is important, it can be improved. Good news yon. And then we also have the systematic engagement in activities or techniques, which also explains that it needs to be developed by practice and over time. Hindi one time mo lang ginawa, may resiliency ka na. No? It needs to be developed over time. And then, last but not least, you have balancing negative emotions with positive ones. Now, this is the main core of resiliency. And I'd like to explain first that balancing negative and positive emotion doesn't mean that this is negative and therefore it is bad. This is the positive emotion, therefore it is good. I want you to remove that concept on the negative emotions and positive emotions. They're not bad nor neither they're good. They just are. And the way they describe negative emotions, maybe because it is unpleasant. That's why it's negative. The other part, it's is positive, maybe because they're pleasant. So I'm gonna dive in some concepts when regards to emotions, because I want you to understand this the role of negative emotion, positive emotions to resiliency. Okay, right. Negative emotions. Some samples of negative emotion. I'm sure you're very familiar with this one. Like fear, sadness, anger, guilt, shame, to name a few. Negative emotions play a vital role in our survival. Critical. Kasi parang compass yan eh. It sends you signals or readings. O, tandaan nyo na lang, if I'm gonna use a metaphor, maganda siguro yung compass. It gives you signals. So parang data that you receive, and then when you receive, it orients us for example, for threats, dangers, diba? And other environmental problems or issues. So for example, for fear, diba? We all know that we're very familiar with the concept of fear. Alam nyo ba, may role yung fear. It assists actually a person. It narrows down their attention, no, may focus. Ang kanyang purpose lang is, how do I escape this current threat? And then it prepares your body for that fear. So if you're familiar with the fight, flight, and freeze, it's exactly the same concept. It's in the same realm. So negative emotions thus induced focus, thought on the action and corresponding behavior of our bodies. It prepares us. Okay, so that's negative. And then about the thing about negative emotions, if I may just try to segue to resilience, is that even though emotions play a vital role to us, yung high intensity emotions, negative emotions, yun ang nagiging harmful for us. I'm sure you're familiar with that as well. Di ba? Sabi nga natin, it allows you to focus, pero pag sobra, may narrowing effect. No? That can trigger a continuous cycle of thinking and feeling and behaving. That reduces well-being over time. So nag-i-spiral. Pababa. No, pababa. So for illustration purposes, let's take the case of sadness. We're all familiar with that emotion, sadness. The sadness may cause the person, pag sobra, no, to focus excessively on the situation. Too much on the negative side. You are beginning to think about it, you begin to ruminate about it. Pag sinabi kong ruminate, ibig sabihin po niyan, you're fixated to the situation continuously, paulit-ulit. So thinking na yan. And then which could trigger a secondary emotions. Meron tayong primary, sabihin natin yung sadness. May secondary, pwedeng sumunod yung anger, frustration, or even security or insecurity, I should say. Eventually, alam mo, pag tuloy-tuloy yung ganong klaseng thinking, the emotion might cause the person to self-isolate. Diba? Because of sadness lang. And that's the behavior. It affects our behavior, producing subsequent sad feelings and leading to further thinking or fixation and so on, and eventually withdrawal. Ayun. So this negative thinking, feeling, and behavior cycle na paulit-ulit can be very pervasive. Hindi mo na siya makontrol, causing it to intensify. Now, this will only happen, or going back to resiliency, this will only happen if the person doesn't have that ability to effectively deal with the negative emotion at hand. And if I may add, this could happen if we are not resilient enough, we are not mindful enough to be aware that it started to kick in. Pa-spiral na pala siya pababa. And we cannot manage our emotions anymore. So, but the good news is it can be counteracted. There is a solution to it, and the solution is mindfulness. So resilient people has that characteristic of being mindful. By taking a step back Mag-zoom out ka, if you're familiar with Google, di ba, meron kayong zoom in, di ba, meron yung zoom out. Pag nag-zoom out kayo from the feelings and thoughts that are produced by such an emotion or negative emotion, you'd be able to decenter yourself. Pag sinabing decenter, nakikita mo yung situation from afar. You're not really engaged in the emotions. And then the individual, you can create a space or a room for you to act differently. Rather than reacting to it, now you're responding to it. And and that's an advantage because now you can see it in full view. So, what about positive emotions? Let's looking at the other side naman, positive emotions. Positive emotions, examples would be feelings of joy, di ba? Pride, curiosity, peacefulness, energy, affection, gratitude, among others. Okay? Dito naman, opposite. It signals optimum functioning of the brain, of our behavior, of our feelings, di ba? All of those allows us to function very well. And happy people, which is logical, experience positive emotions more frequently than less happy people. Tandaan nyo yan. Positive emotions ang key. And then the fourth one, of course, the opposite would be depressed people experience a lack of joy, curiosity, contentment, and enthusiasm at the same time. In addition to that, meron ding spiral effect ang positive emotions. Okay? Just like negative emotions na sabi natin earlier may cause narrowing thoughts to focus on specifics, on details of the problem, positive emotions expand the thought. Lumalawak, no? The repertoire or the range of information and allows you to absorb more, and it encourages an upward spiral of positive emotions na nagkakaroon ng replication ng positive emotions. So here, we examine the long-term consequences of positive emotions. Okay? So I will not go through each concepts because I don't want you to go into much detail, but there are certain concepts I like to get into. Let's talk about this. Positive emotions widens people's outlook, sabi rito, in ways that little by little beneficially reshape who they are. So the benefit of having a positive emotion is the widening of positive outlooks. It broadens their perspective. And we want that. Lalo na if you're decision making, di ba? You need to have multiple perspectives. You don't want to be narrowed down, right? So in this concept of positive emotions, there are three basic theories, and I'll explain that to you as quickly as I could. First is the broadened and build theory. Let's start with the broadened hypothesis, okay? The broadened hypothesis, from the root word broaden, lumalawa. It broadens the thought process. And there are several studies that have shown that positive emotions broaden the range or the scope of people's visual attention. When people experience positive emotions, they are able to detect more information, and siguro if you're detecting more information, you can absorb more information in their visual field. Let me cite you an example. Imagine, for instance, you are waking up with a positive emotions like excitement or contentment. Excited ka, you're contented, you're hyper, full of energy. And then on a morning like this, you wake up one morning, you got this energy. You know what? A person who has this positive emotions get to notice the beautiful sky. Chances are, it's he'll be the first one who would notice the beautiful sky, the sun, and all God's creation. And not only that, so that's the broadened attention, you know. Then you, being positive all along, energized, you come up with novel and very creative ideas during the meetings or while you're in the workplace or with colleagues. Yan yun naman yung broadening of the cognition. And then finally, dahil excited ka pa, energized ka pa, gusto mo mag-contribute sa development mo. You want to improve yourself. So even after work, you engage in different actions because you're excited, you're charged up, and that broadens your action urges as well. So this concept basically allows you yung broadening. Okay, yun lang ang tandaan natin, broadening. The next one is the build hypothesis. In the build hypothesis, it also allows you to build individual skills and resources. So for example, ganito yan. Remember, nando ka sa broadening, di ba? Tapos, shift ka lang sa build kasi magkakapatid yan eh. So when you have these positive emotions, you have this how do you put that? Being adventurous. That would be a good word. Being adventurous, and you would like to try out new activities. So maybe I'd like to join. A good example would be I'd like to join a social civic organization. You know, even after office work, or even Saturday, Sunday, I want to spend time doing social civic. And then in turn, by engaging in these type of new actions, be it physical or social or intellectual, pwede kasing yung gusto mong mag-aral, gusto mong pursue ng master's or PhD. Pwede rin yun, intellectual yun. But for our example, let's say you want to join the social civic group because by joining the group, I want to expand my social network. I want to learn more skill sets like social skills, interpersonal skills, maybe develop my compassion, might develop my empathy. So all these skill sets that goes along with joining a social network. These become a resource center, which can become accessed or which can be accessed, I should say, at a later time to assist in your coping mechanism when you are charged with a difficult situation, leading to greater resilience. How does it work? Say you got discouraged one day, got disappointed, maybe for whatever reason. The person may tap into the many people that was helped through his service. It boosts your self-regard. See? Now, that self-regard is a component of resilience. So in turn, this enhanced level of resilience increases positive emotions by generating a continued cycle of positive emotions. So positive input, positive din yung output. Right. The third one I'd like to explain to you is this one, the build. We had the broad and then the build, and the last one would be the undoing hypothesis. Yeah, undoing. So research findings explain it this way, that positive emotions counteract the effect of negative emotions. May effect ang negative emotions. So yung positive emotions daw counteract the effects of negative emotions. Whereas negative emotions prepare the body and mind for a specific action like the fight, flight, and freeze. Yung positive emotions have been found to undo this preparation. It calms you down, it relaxes you, it expands your horizon, and so on and so forth. So let me cite to you an example para ma-capture natin yung diniscuss natin. To summarize as well, the effect of positive emotions to resilience. Remember the 911? Okay, so I'm sure everyone knows the September 11th. They did a survey. No, and based on that survey, they want to know how resilient people are. High or low or medium. Okay? So meron silang mga category ng survey. And that's the trait resilience. And then the post-crisis measure would be sino yung may positive and many negative emotion tsaka may depressive symptoms after the certain event. So after the 9/11 attacks, they did another survey. And you know what they found out? Pare-pareho yung emotions ng mga tao. There's anger, there's fear, and there's sadness following the 9/11 attacks. You know what makes a difference? Resilient personalities have less depressive symptoms. They experience positive emotions more frequently since the attacks. So keyword is positive emotions. So now, that is why my position here is to build positive emotions to be resilient. And for us to do that, we need to develop our emotional intelligence. But why do you think EI is so important in building emotional intelligence? Or why EI? Why emotional intelligence? And I'd like to put this in a context of a leader. And this is just a quick exercise, so bear with me. Let me ask you this question. So it would be nice if you could participate. Sabi nila yung may matataas ang EI, they're very engaging and they're very inquisitive. They want to know more. So I'd like to invite you to join in our short exercise. So there's no, it's just about emotional intelligence. So why EI? That's the question. I want you to think of a leader for whom or with whom you worked. One that brought out the best in you. One that you would gladly work with or for again. So isip kayo ng leader, past or present, doesn't really matter. And tapos, medyo gusto-gusto niyo yung leader na yun dahil you feel, you feel good, no? And then there's something about that leader that you'd like to emulate. So think about that leader, maybe about 5 seconds. Think about that leader, give me a name. If you have a name in your head, just think about it, and then I'll give you another 2 seconds to think about the face of that leader or a time that you were working with that leader. Okay, good. So now you have a name. You have a face right in front of you. You can imagine that crystal clear. The next question I'd like to ask of you is this one. Can you think of a characteristic, just one characteristic, para hindi tayo mahirapan, isang characteristic about that leader na gustong-gusto ninyo? Yun lang. Well, maybe we can do it for 5 seconds. What characteristic? Siya ba ay matangkad? Siya ba ay super talino? Siya ba ay very empathetic? Siya ba ay... Kung ano man yung characteristic, I'm just giving you an example. Maybe for 5 seconds, you can come up with a characteristic. Okay, so be mindful of the characteristics that you have written down in your notebook or that you have in your head, and I want you to classify them. Is it a technical competence? Pag sinabi ko pong technical competence, ito yung mga tao na after they name, they put so many titles after that, like MBA, PhD, and so on and so forth, engineer, and so on and so forth. Ang haba. Sa sobrang ng haba, umaabot po yung kanilang degrees and certification hanggang sa likod ng calling card. Ganyan po ka-technical yan. Oh, is it a technical competence yung characteristic na naisip niyo about that person? Or is it a cognitive competence? Ibig sabihin, super talino. Ang IQ nasa 160 minimum. He can or she can do mathematical computations without using a calculator or even a computer. Ganyan po katalino. Yun ba yung characteristic na nilagay nyo? Cognitive competence? Or is it emotional and social competence? The person, how he relates, his confidence, the way he communicates, the way he makes decisions, the way he handles stress. Yan ba yun? Without me asking you, I already know your answers. Majority of you have placed a characteristic that is under the emotional and social competence. Alam niyo po, I've done this exercise between maybe 55 to 60 exercises from different companies, and the result is always like this. The technical skills, okay, medyo meron. Cognitive skills, mas konti. Pero sandamakbak the post-it notes, kasi I asked them to put the post-it notes dun sa category ng characteristic na gusto na nilagay nila. And I tell you, ang dami. Madalas po, yan po ang nagre-resonate sa isang leader. So if you ask yourself, why should leaders have an effective way of influencing? You start with the emotions. Don't start with anything else. Start with the emotions, because it's the emotions that's key. because we relate to emotions. They can manage their emotions. They can use emotions to read others as well. And that's about interpersonal, and that's about empathy. So, having said that, now, you, chances are nga po na ilagay nyo dyan emotional and social skills. So, imagine yourself meeting this person every single day from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. You get to see your leader. You get to see this person that you would like to emulate. How does that make you feel? And you don't have to answer this question. I'm going to share with you the survey that I've done over the years and what are the results. These are the top results, by the way. For a good leader, these are the top traits. Insightful, has a good sense of humor, kind, caring, appreciative, listened, excellent communicator, clarity in purpose, supportive, empathetic, encourager, positive influencer, integrity. Kung pwede ko lang ho dadagdagan ko na sa sobrang haba lang po, no? So these are the things that they love about the good leader. And how do they feel? That was my next question. And this is their answers. I feel trusted. I feel on fire, appreciated, enthusiastic, hopeful, confident, safe, less stressful. Di ba importante yon? Motivated, and then respected. I'm sure you'd feel the same way. And then we ask the follow-up question. We ask them, so if you feel this time, most of the time, this way, what does that make you do? And this is in reflection to their performance. Their answers is develops loyalty, they work harder, the more I want to show my appreciation, proactive in work, increase in their productivity, hit quota, siguro may ahente kami doon during the time, creative and innovative. Alam niyo po, meron pa nga akong gustong idagdag dyan eh. Sabi niya, I will not use my vacation leave and my sick leave. Hindi ko na ho dinagdag dyan dahil very few lang naman po nakasagot. But it's very interesting to find out. So let me just put this all together and conclude this in 4 points. Number 1, emotions are contagious. So if you want to know which one influences others, it's your emotion. That's primary aspect of your leadership. So if you have people who reports directly to you, you need to manage your emotions. Make sure you are putting in the right amount of emotions, the right type of emotions, positive, and then you charge them with positive because you get to influence them through your emotions. Then emotions affect our performance and decision making. Absolutely. So if you're aware of that, then you try not to get into some form of decision making when you're in the negative side. Try to calm yourself first. And that again would be about mindfulness. And then it's more important than ever for you to be more optimistic, be more positive in the way you handle things. Then performance can be improved through EI, and that has been my shout outs. Kumbaga, performance can be improved through EI, and EI is the best approach to mental resiliency. Now, let me just bring you to practical aspects, and this is dealing with the workplace. We all know how difficult it is in the workplace. Back then when you're going to the office, different from maybe some of you are, combination, hybrid. Meron kayong work from home, meron kayong pumupunta sa office. And for many of us who have been working, I've been working for more than 25 years. For most of you, maybe 10 to 15 years. What we're experiencing in the last 6 months are really profound. And however, how you want to put it, the change is very drastic. It doesn't matter how many years you've been working, the change over the last 6 months has been very, very drastic. So high work demands, andyan pa rin, hindi naman nababago di ba? Can lead to a feeling of unproductive emotions, di ba? And like I'll show you some unproductive emotions. I listed it down there. These emotions can cause people to behave in unproductive ways, which in turn can cause us to feel less engaged, less productive, low performance. It narrows our limit, like I said earlier, reduces creativity, and negatively impacts production. So the other characteristics of work, of the world of the work today, it's, of course, we all know, the pandemic. The pandemic is in our midst. And no matter how we we cannot ignore that. We have to acknowledge that. We cannot control it. Pero we all know that it requires high levels of emotional intelligence. The environment such as, di ba, health concern, kailangan ka na quarantine for 14 days, meron pang swab test, work-life balance, where you're working even at home, you try to balance that. Critical yan. Work modifications, papasok ka na lang MWF or TTH, kung ano man yung schedule nyo, di ba? Also plays a significant load on our ability to self-manage and be resilient in our behavior. So from the perspective of leadership, it is important for us to harness positive emotions with our remote teams, with ourselves, and even with those people that directly reports to us. This is not only critically important for leadership effectiveness, but requires high levels of self-discipline, that's EI, awareness, that's again emotional intelligence, empathy, that's EI, authenticity, that's EI, emotional management, EI. All those you need to become resilient. So the next programs of EI, don't miss it, will explore the tools and techniques to develop these competencies in yourself and others. Okay? So these are, I'm sorry, I forgot to flash the negative emotions. Yan yung mga negative emotions na banggit ko kanina. Yan yung nag-filter sa proliferate, I should say, sa workplace, even in the midst of COVID. So I'd like to share with you in the remaining time that I have some proactive strategies. Pag sinabi kong proactive, ito yung hindi ginagawa pag nandyan na. Ginagawa to daily para mo ma-develop yung resiliency natin. Okay? So they said there are 4 categories: thinking, physical, relational, and environmental. Yan yung 4. Now, we will not be able to cover that because of the time that we have. But for this primer, I want to share with you some thinking strategies. No? So if you have your pen and your paper, start writing down. And this is where we're going to dwell in the next few minutes. And the first thinking strategy I'd like to share with you is about mindfulness. And I'll be very quick with this one. What is mindfulness? Mindfulness is just a systematic cultivation of awareness, including self-awareness. That is, number 1, it's intentional. Sinasadya. Hindi siya tuwing kailan mo lang kailangan. Meron kaming tinatawag na antecedent. Ibig sabihin, you do it before it happens so that when it happens, you have the skill sets and the capability to handle such a stress. So this is something you need to do every day. So it has to be intentional. So iisip kayo ng oras, iisip kayo ng time of the day para makuha niyo yung magamit niyo yung mindfulness, mag-practice kayo ng mindfulness. Paano mag-practice ng mindfulness? Yan yung abangan niyo mamaya ng konti. All right. So it's intentional. Number 2, it's non-judgmental. Alam niyo po ba tayo talaga very nature natin mag-judgment. Mag-judge pala, hindi mag-judgment. To be judgmental. If you're not aware of it, you slide down to judgment. Right now, you're judging whether should I continue, should I not continue, should I eat, should I not eat? Is it interesting or not interesting? Should I practice mindfulness or should I not practice mindfulness? Should I engage myself to the exercises that the webinar trainer is talking about or not? All about judgment. I want you to stop judging, even our emotions. Don't say it's good or bad. Don't classify them. Just accept them as they are and learn from it. Because the minute you judge, you stop learning. But if you start developing this inquisitive skill sets to find out more, you learn more. Okay? And then it's in the present moment. So there's the idea of being in the present moment. Mindfulness is all about being aware of what's happening right now. You're not worried about what's going to happen. You're not worried about what happened. You're just in the now. You're in the present because that's all you have. You're breathing, how you feel, are you comfortable or not comfortable, and so on and so forth. These are things that you are sensing at the very moment. So no matter what you're doing, dalawa lang naman po ang babagsakan nyo. Mindful or mindless. Diba? And we don't want to be mindless. We want to be mindful. Here are 2 critical points. First, no matter what you're doing, you are in a continuum of either doing it mindfully or mindlessly. And second, research, like I said earlier, demonstrate that when you are mindful, there are great improvements in absolutely everything, from competence to psychological well-being to health and engagement. And when you are mindful, you're much more effective, be it at work or be it the way you treat your family or whether you are engaging your family at that very moment. Being mindful is key to resilience. And if I may add, um, mindful is being in the here and now, being present and being mindful. That's a formal definition. And for us, for those of you who are in the business world, this is so much applicable. Mindfulness offers a strategy for managing your stress as well na inuuwi natin sa bahay. Na dapat naman hindi inuuwi. Okay? Pero mind you, this ability to be resilient, it begins with mindfulness. In the face of stressful circumstances, it begins with mindfulness. And that's the core of our next activity. But before I introduce your activity, alam niyo, pag dine-develop niyo yung attention skill sets through mindfulness, may kumakapal dun sa inyong brain. Just to be, I'm not a doctor, so I will not try to explain this scientifically, but there's this colored area, the yellow, the purple, I think, and the green. Kumakapal po yan. So, pag habang pinapractice nyo yung mindfulness, kumakapal siya. So, kahit kayo tumatanda na, hindi nawawala yung attention span ninyo. Nade-develop pa nga while you're doing your mindful practice. So, the more you meditate, the more your brain becomes capable of meditating effectively, focusing and placing attention where you want it. And number two, as we age, like I said, meditation helps us maintain brain tissue that would otherwise dissipate with age. So ayaw nyo naman mawala yung inyong attention characteristic or skill set. So I would encourage you to be mindful. Now on this part of our we're ending. So I don't want to leave you with talking about mindfulness tapos wala naman tayong practical application. So I want you to experience mindfulness. And this is about mindful breathing. So remember yung meron kayo narinig na, oh, just take a deep breath and relax. Di ba? Narinig nyo na ba yun? Oh, you've heard these words. Di ba? And normally, you hear these words mentioned to someone who is hyper, di ba? Because maybe of stress, fear, or anger. Alam niyo, may science dun sa wisdom na yun eh. Yung just take a deep breath and relax. And if I may say so, simple as it may seem, very few people actually practice it. It is a very, very effective technique to calm your nerves and thus improve your mental health. So here is where I'll ask you to participate. Okay? I want you to engage. I don't see you, but kayo na po ang sana mag-decide po kayo mag-engage, you know? This is a guided meditation. Pag sinabi kong guided, all you have to do is hear my voice and I'll guide you through the meditation through mindful breathing. So don't worry, it is not an incantation of some sort, huh? It is a deep breathing exercise and all you have to do is follow my voice. Okay? I'll take a break for 2 seconds, then I will start. Okay. Find a comfortable meditation position, either sitting on a cushion, on the floor, or in a chair, or lying down on your back. Whatever works best for you right now. Anchor yourself in this space, this moment, by noticing the sense of contact between your body and the chair or floor beneath you. Gently close your eyes, or if you would prefer, gaze down in front of you with a soft focus. Take a moment to tune into your body and check in with how you are feeling at this very moment. Take note of how you are feeling. Allow yourself to sit with whatever is here. This practice is a diaphragmatic breathing exercise, also known as belly breathing. The idea is to relax your belly as much as you can. Then as the breath comes in, let the belly rise on its own. As the belly flows out, as the breath flows out, I should say, let the belly naturally fall. Deepen the breath to lengthen both inhale and exhale and feel an exaggerated rise and fall of the belly. Breathe into the count of 4, hold briefly, and breathe out to the count of 6. It can be helpful to place a hand on your belly if you like and notice the feeling of it moving as the breath flows in and out. So get ready. First, breathe out all the air in the lungs. Ha! And then breathe in, 2, 3, 4, and hold. And breathe out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And in, 2, 3, 4, hold. And out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And in, 2, 3, 4, hold. And out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Continue to breathe down into your belly like this slowly, noticing the feel of the breath flowing in and out of the body. Do your best to keep your attention here on the breath. From time to time during this practice, you'll notice that your mind wanders off from the breath. It might get distracted by a thought, a memory, or something in your environment. As soon as you notice that your mind has wandered off, simply take note of where it went and then gently and kindly guide it back to your breath. And there's no need to give yourself a hard time about wandering off. It's okay. It's entirely normal. Our minds are designed to think. So be kind and compassionate and simply return to your breath. Continue to breathe deep down into your belly, feeling the belly rise and fall. Noticing where your attention is, and if it wandered off, gently return to your next belly breath. Breathing in and breathing out. As the meditation comes to an end, take a moment to tune back into your body now and observe how you're feeling. Notice if anything has changed or shifted since the beginning of the practice. I'm going to ring a bell to signal the end of the practice. When you can no longer hear the ringing of the bell, gently open your eyes and come back into the room. Okay, I hope you enjoy that short exercise. It just took us, less than 5 minutes to do that. And I do hope that you would pick up that practice and do it as often. While you're lying down, you can do that as well. Maybe before you wake up, after, not before waking up, but after waking up, you can do this mindful practice, breathing in, breathing out. And you can just follow the count as 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I hope you're able to do that. Let me just summarize it this way. So self-management is an emotionally intelligent leadership competency, and mindfulness is about that. Diaphragmatic breathing is a skill set that can be learned through practice. So it helps you to reduce stress, improve focus, and increase your attention. So you just follow your breathing in and out, in and out. Maintain your attention, maintain your focus. Be open to your emotions. Don't reject your emotions, even though how you feel it. Don't suppress them. And it helps you to be calm. And then if there's a distraction, just be compassionate, be kind. Just put your attention back to your breathing and follow the breathing. Just like the diagram here. So eventually you regain attentional focus that will develop, and there will be little or even absolutely zero distractions anymore as you practice this thing called diaphragmatic breathing. Again, by practicing this regularly, you become more familiar with deep breathing and more skilled at concentrating as your minds become calmer, more focused, and less reactive. We don't want that, di ba? So pag sinabi nyo, oh, huwag kang magre-react, it doesn't really help. Pag sinabi mo sa tao, don't react. You just have to tell them, how do I not react? So use this technique, mindfulness, okay? So that's one technique. And this one, because of time, it's already 6 p.m. I just want to leave you with this one. It's a coping mantra. This tool aims to help you understand the link between negative thoughts and feelings, and number two, replace unhelpful negative thoughts with helpful coping tips. Kasi coping thoughts. Kasi alam mo, marami tayong stressful thoughts, di ba? And sometimes, yung stressful thoughts na yon naglilinger sa mind natin, no? And sometimes it's so pervasive, hindi mo makontrol. And this coping mantra hopefully will help you. A coping thought is a thought that will help you shed a different, more constructive light on the situation. So by bringing a coping thought in mind, negative thoughts are replaced by these constructive thoughts. And you don't want to you don't want to continue with the negative thoughts. Remember the spiraling down, di ba? You want to replace it with constructive thoughts, which, given our feelings that allow our thoughts, can drastically reduce feelings of stress. So if you want to remove your stress, you can do some coping mantras. Some coping mantra examples. Let me just give you a few. This situation will not last forever. That's a coping mantra. This feeling will pass. I can feel anxious with reacting. I can tolerate this emotion until it becomes less intense. I can ride these emotions like a wave. This emotion feels uncomfortable, but it will not kill me, and so forth. This type of coping mantra. But if I may just add in, the Bible speaks of so many passages. So if you can open your Bible, there's so many passages that speaks about this type of coping. I just call it coping verses. Like, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. There's therefore now no condemnation to those who are in Christ Jesus. So there's so many. So if you're running out of, coping mantras, you can open the Bible, and there's so many promises there that you can hold on to, and it will help you reduce your stress. No, and there's so many things that you can pick out from the Bibles that can fit your particular situation. We will not be able to practice this, but I want you, as an assignment, siguro, till we meet again, can you come up with a coping mantra? You can come up with 4 or 5 na talaga pwede mo i-memorize, ha? Na you can call it anytime. And then in our next meeting, I will try my best to explain this process to you, and what's the best way to use the coping mantra, because it is a process. There are certain steps. So, but for now, as an assignment, maybe you can do write down your coping mantras. Okay, plural. Okay. So on that note, I hope you will practice mindfulness by doing your breathing regularly, and that should get you somewhere in as far as your resilience is concerned. And the best way to approach resiliency is through emotional intelligence. So let me leave you with this thought. The power of EI, or the power of emotional intelligence. People will forget what we say, and people will forget what we do, but people will never forget the way we make them feel. So that's by Maya Angelou. So so in this case, I want to remind you some program review. Just to summarize, what insights have you gained about your resiliency, and what actions are you thinking of taking to build your resilience? Yes, sana po hindi po magtatapos dito. You will continue in employing the things that I have shared with you. So, Luis, I think I'm done.
All right. Thank you,
Yeah,
Sir,
yeah.
thank you, Sir Lito, for
Our
sharing.
Yeah, I'll remove this one
Yan.
na ha.
Okay. Yan. Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you, Sir Lito, for sharing that one. To our viewers, you may post in your questions sa comment section natin. I will try to read them. Okay. Ayan. Sabi lang ni Miss Jennifer Lopez, thank you, Sir Cornejo, for an emotionally deep discussion, but in a positive way. That really helps us cope up with past negative experiences and current difficulties in life. Likewise, we must practice diaphragmatic breathing because the feeling is light and great.
Amen.
Alright?
Yeah,
So,
thank you.
there are thank yous. Ayan po. Makita natin yan sa comment section. But, meron pong question from the other host watch party because to
I'll
others
try my best.
Alright, so we'll start. Okay, the first question would be, yan, i-rephrase ko na lang kasi the question is, how do you distress after a bad day at work? To our viewers, Coach Lito has taught us about yung diaphragmatic breathing. Are there any ways pa ba or tips?
Here's a key. If you're stressed from work, you're going home. Don't bring the stress inside. I think what you need to do is the timing of your mindful. Even though you're doing this in the morning, for example, your mindfulness practice, you can do it even inside your car or while before entering your house. Maybe before entering your house, try to practice mindfulness muna. 5 minutes lang naman eh. You do deep breathing, it calms you so that pag kalmado ka na, kahit ano yung maabutan mo sa bahay, hindi ka maiinis. Hindi ka magagalit, hindi ka magre-react kasi calm ka na. Ayun. So it's a good way to adapt. Your mindfulness is it doesn't require a gadget eh. You can do it anywhere. Even after maybe nabigyan ka ng, for example lang ha, nabigyan ka ng hindi magandang feedback ng boss mo. Lahat naman nangyayari dyan eh, di ba? We experience that. So maybe you can go to the restroom and just practice mindfulness. And then from the mindfulness, you zoom out, calm your nerves, and you should have a better appreciation of what happened to you. Maybe your boss just wants you to improve, and you can use that in a positive light.
All right, thank you, Coach Lito. Thank you, Sir Lito. May tatlong questions pa eh. But
Okay.
ito medyo mahaba to, mahabang pang discussion to.
Oh, sige.
Same with the other watch party. I don't know to our viewer, the question is coming from Ida. Okay. How do you recover from failure? Okay, marami to. Yun lang yung question. How do you recover
Yeah.
from failure? Any short ano po?
Short answer, there is no short answer to recovery to failure. I mentioned the Bible earlier, but some people related to resilience. Why is it that people see it failure, but others who are very resilient see it as a stepping stone towards success? Di ba? So I think you need to change the mindset that this failure may be just a stepping stone towards for me to become more successful. So don't treat it as a permanent thing for you because it's just temporal. It's just temporary, I should say. So there is light at the end of the tunnel. But how you treat the failure or stress or even a negative situation will depend entirely on your mindset. That's why practice the mindset, and I tell you the mindfulness breathing exercise, and it will develop your different perspective. It widens your perspective of things.
All right. So thank you, Sir Lito. Before we proceed dun sa sa third dumadami
question.
questions dumadami yung questions but before I proceed with that, Sir Lito, where can they catch you or any upcoming events that you would like to share with us?
I don't have anything running right at this point, but you may have some questions and you can raise it through visit me in my Facebook. It's Jesulito Cornejo, or you can ask my email from Luis, and then I'll be more than willing to answer those questions to you.
All right, thank you, Coach Lito. To our viewers, we will come up with the masterclass. We're just trying the calendar. We're checking our calendar and schedules, but we will come up with the masterclass wherein you can attend us as well.
Yeah,
but
no,
also,
don't welcome mawawala.
Yon. And also, we will still have Coach Lito to join us in sa mga future resiliency mental resiliency trainings natin and
Yeah.
webinars
Yeah.
under the Moving Beyond Crisis. So
Yeah.
huwag po kayong mag-alala. Hindi po mawawala si Coach Lito. Also to our viewers later who will be checking this video webinar, hindi ko po siya tatanggalin. It will be still posted in our Facebook. I will upload it also in YouTube so you can check and download and share it to your friends. Yan. So,
Yan.
Sir Coach Lito, last question, okay?
Sige.
How can I increase my EQ? Sorry, how can I increase my EQ kapag hindi mo mabait ang boss ko?
Aha. Well, yung hindi kung hindi toxic boss, di ba? Toxic boss, alam mo, quite frankly, the problem is not really about the toxic boss. The problem is our adaptability. It's a skill set on emotional intelligence. So what you need to do, if I normally would suggest that you create an inventory of your level of EI. You know, alamin mo muna yung level of EI, and there's so many EI assessments there. Pag alam mo na yung level ng assessments, matutuntun, tama ba yung Tagalog ko? Matutuntun mo yung ano yung reason bakit hindi ko matanggap tong boss ko. So, kasi maraming pwedeng pagdilim. Is it your self-awareness? That's the issue. Is it your confidence level or self-regard? Is it your empathy level? That is the issue. Is it your ability, your interpersonal skills? That's the issue. So, hindi natin there's no straight answer to your question eh. Kailangan muna natin makita yung perspective ng assessment ng iyong EI. Pag alam na natin yon through a competent coach, they should be able to zero in on that skill set that you need to elevate so that when situations like I have another manager or boss that is toxic, I can adapt to it, I can survive it, I will have no issues to it.
Yan, thank you. Thank you Sir Lito doon sa tips na yan. Okay. Yan. So actually may mga papel pa akong inaabot dito, but because of time constraints we cannot continue. Sorry, we cannot accept more of the questions, but if you do have questions, you can actually DM us, direct message us, email us, direct message us to our Facebook page, Vertical Parallel Asia. We will try to answer that. We always answer, okay? We're always active. Sa mga nagdi-DM, we will try to respond. Also, if you do have questions connected with the topic, which is emotional intelligence or the mental resiliency, you can approach us. We will answer. We always answer even off air. Hindi man namin masagot dito sa sa video because it will end, okay? But please do DM us, we will answer that. So, as we close, gusto ko lang pong batiin, inabot sa akin. Gusto ko lang pong batiin companies who have been joining us. We have from PAGCOR, UB Psych.org, we have from DFA, we have from Tourism Board Promotions Board, we have from ACT Philippines Chaplaincy. All right, so you also have from PPA. All right, so any final thoughts, Coach Lito, as we close, as we end?
Just remember, this is not something that you can improve overnight. So practice. Yung IQ, hindi nyo na may improve yun. If you're 18 years old and above, that's it, period. Pero EQ, nai-improve pa yan, including the technical competences. So don't forget to learn. Okay, improve on it.
All right, thank you, Coach Lito, for sharing that one. So I'll just put you in the waiting room as I do the closing announcements. All
Bye,
right,
everyone. Bye.
Yan. So to our viewers, thank you for joining us this afternoon. Magagabi na, no? Thank you for joining us this afternoon or evening. Mental resiliency, as you always say, is a broadened learning. So, sabi nga ni Coach Lito, we cannot learn it quickly, and practicing it would lead us to a greater satisfaction or understanding. All right. So, as final thoughts, I'm happy to hear those things. That pwede pa pala siyang, we can still improve, di ba? Also, there are other things that we talk about, like the adversity quotient, but on a separate topic. But allow me to just, before I close, allow me to just share with you my final, mga final, announcements ko. All right. Thank you again for Sir Lito Cornejo for joining us this afternoon. I would like to invite you next week, on September 18 and 19. 2020, productive leadership, upping leadership potential, management skills training for supervisors and managers. We also have outstanding, a comprehensive guide of business and building a brand, putting your brand out for the market while standing strong in the midst of competition. So on September 21 to 22, 2020, okay, 8 to 12 noon. Okay, and then, sorry, excuse me. Uh, building, sorry, nawala ko yung ano. Iyan, behind the scenes and on stage by Mr. R.D. Abelio. Ayan, on your screen, sorry, nagkamali ako sa ano. Ayan, delivering, and this is volume 2, the delivering high impact presentations. You can speak well if your tongue can deliver the message of your heart. Also, the crisis management planning, your business continuity planning guide on September 29 and 30, 2020, 1 to 5 p.m. For more queries, questions regarding our master classes, please do DM us, direct message us, or call us with numbers on the numbers on our page to get in touch with us and for the inquiries over our seminar or the master classes. Also for the MDC and our leadership black and white, we please check our posts. Okay, next week we'll have Mr. Paolo Tibig joining us next week. All right, so any final thoughts as I close? Thank you for joining us. It's been a pleasure having you here joining us this afternoon. And as I close, allow me to just share with you that we may be enduring some of the concerns right now, anxiousness, worries, but remember that God's thoughts are higher than our thoughts, and His ways are higher than ours. Okay, so let's all commit everything to God because He is sovereign even in this pandemic. So as I close, let me just pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this afternoon you've given us. It's an opportunity to learn, oh God. We thank you that you continuously sharpen our skills, and you always continue to encounter our hearts that we would be able to be more resilient in this time of crisis and even in this pandemic. We know that you are sovereign and powerful over the situation. We bless and pray for our leaders and for the people around getting affected. We thank you for your favor and grace in Jesus' name. Amen. So to everyone, enjoy the week. Thank you. Good night and God bless.